Actually, can you face forward again for a second and just talk like you would normally?
I can talk. Oh, like normally. This episode of Getting Tabled is brought to you by Valhalla Hobby. Use code TABLE to get 5% off any order over $100, one use only. A big shout out and thank you to our tablers for supporting us. Please consider joining Patreon for $2 a month. You can listen to us live and get early access to all video content.
Brought to you by some guys on the internet.
This is Getting Tabled.
With your hosts Jason the Bruce,
You guy!
George the Yank,
I hope you're all entertained by my inaptitude.
Jason aka Major Socks.
We've been doing this and talking about various stuff. One of the stuff.
Now sit back, relax, and get tabled.
Hello, future people, and welcome to episode 179 of Getting Tabled with your host Jason the Bruce.
Hello, folks. It's just the two of us this episode. There is no Socks because he's lazy and stuff. He's just a shameful human being that can't be bothered turning up for things.
Right, and the episode before our anniversary.
I know. It's just shameful. It's just like... And there's all of this exciting Games Workshop stuff that he was wanting to look at too.
Right? Yeah, he was so excited about that. He was like, oh, I can't believe I'm going to miss that.
I know. Yeah, just disappointing. We have, however, ordered him that he has to watch because he needs to see what we're going to say. Because we are going to taunt the living stuff out of him. Hey, Ben George.
You will taunt him a third time.
I will.
I've been good, been busy, work, side work, but I have done lots of things that aren't work too, so there's that.
I've done things as well. We'll talk about that during hobby. It's not quite the fortnight that I had last time, but that's okay. I've been busy doing other things.
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
Welcome to Adepticon season, folks, where we get more news than we could ever possibly cover. I get jealous of everybody that gets to go, and we get to talk about Bushido.
Next.
I get to talk about Bushido.
Next.
I'm really liking what I'm seeing here too.
That is probably one of the coolest snake minis I have ever seen for any game ever.
Which one?
Like, well, the whole Ular, because they had. Oh, we're going to talk about him next. I think that's not the first link. I
right, yes. I've just realized what you're looking at. Yeah. So hang on, that's not on my screen. So what George is referring to is actually the extra character for this, which is this guy.
Which is Snick.
Yes. So this is a themed warband. So this is kind of like one of those self-contained boxes where you kind of get to see just a little bit more of what's going on.
I want, with this warband, badgers.
Badgers?
Badger, mushroom, badger,
I know
badger,
what
badger,
you're
mushroom.
referring to.
Yes, so there's badgers, and then Snick.
Snack, it's a snack. For some reason, my camera's going on. There we go. All right, there we go. So, yeah, this is a themed warband. Well, I've actually known that this has been coming for a little while. I think Ben teased this for me, which is just a lovely thing for him to do. And yeah, I really love the look of this. It's probably worth noting that I kind of really want this. but it's not going to be the next thing I buy because I've already committed to buying something else, which I will talk about another time. But yeah,
Can we
it
talk
just
about
looks pretty.
Can we talk about how the female minis in the background, how angry they just look?
Oh, what are you talking about? They're so pleased to see you, George. They're definitely not upset about anything. What did you say? Yeah, they all look like Karens, right? Apologies to anybody that has that name because it's just a really horrible. Like, anybody called Karen has such a horrible existence now. It's so not fair.
Yeah, yeah. I would say that a Karen would be downright pleasant compared to the way these three look.
Yeah. Well, they do have serious murderous intent.
That one in the middle, just yeah.
I really, really love the way that these look. I mean, I haven't had a close look at their rules, but they certainly look formidable. It's going to be interesting to see how these go. But, yes, the one that George really likes is another really gorgeous looking mini. Now, this is very similar to a warband that we looked at in the past. This is a pre-release that they do for Adepticon. They do this every year. There's a new faction that's coming out. Well, not a new faction. A new themed box or
New
faction
box.
that they are previewing and doing a pre-sale on, and then about 6 months to 12 months later, it will come out as a regular release. So obviously, what I have chosen to do is I will be looking at these at regular release. I do really like these, or the look of these.
Yeah.
It's just a really gorgeous looking mini. He is 24 rice, so he is a very large section of your force, but I mean,
Yeah, that sounds really expensive.
Chokehold. What does chokehold do? Gains grapple and grapple defense until the end of activation. If this model successfully applies one of these special abilities, the enemy model suffers 1 wound. Okay.
What does PE mean?
Personal. It only affects them because it's giving him an ability. Like the next one is It gives them feint and dodge until the end of activation. May choose 1 special attack and 1 special defense and apply both to the same melee exchange. Ooh. And they're generating 3 ki per turn. Oh, I think this is going to be nasty on the table.
Does it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 hit points is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, that looks about right. Yep. Yeah, I'm keen to see how this goes. But let's talk about something that, like, hey, we actually have some news about Simon. Simon are actually saying things. I'm being facetious. They have been saying things for a while, but it's kind of only when there's something to say. No, I don't want to subscribe. Go away. But please subscribe to us. It would be lovely.
Yes.
So we get an update. Yep. No, you're right. You go.
I'm Simon. The Dune Desert War is going into containers and shipping. Deceased is being produced. Mordred is starting production. The Adventures, which was a pre-order, not a crowdfunding, it was a pre-order, that started production. Super Fantasy Brawl, they're still retooling. Massive Darkness, they're reviewing the latest graphic files. Essentially, they're actually giving status updates of where they're at with stuff, which is something Mythic did not do, because right now, Simon is a very similar position to where Mythic was, where Mythic just stopped all communication. Simon is not doing that, which is a benefit. Well, I wouldn't say a benefit, a positive. As Bruce pointed out, there's no update on the Masters of the Universe, which that should be fairly easy to do because, it's already done. All they have to do is print more, send it to Europe, and 1 box for everyone else.
And it was supposed to have all been done a good 12 months. It was supposed to have already been in production before this crisis started, and we have no news on this whatsoever.
I will say this
there's
is
no
only maybe
costs involved in that. There's zero reason. It kind of feels like the only reason they haven't done it is because. Actually, no. I see no logical reason why they haven't done that first to get it over and done with.
And my logic behind that was, anyone who really wants that already has that game. So this is just for the essentially the campaign backers in Europe. Whereas like Mordred can hit retail, DC Deceased can hit retail, Massive Darkness Shadow Reach can hit retail. A couple things here that they've not given an update on is God of War.
Yep. So I'm going to open up the other link because that kind of shows off some of that.
Yeah, so the first one is crowdfunding. So God of War, and this shows a great stats. I have this page open 24/7 on my Google tab because I look at it every couple of weeks in case something changes. But God of War, no update. A Song of Fire and Ice Tactics, no update. And then if you go up to the pre-order tab up there at the top, these are not the traditional crowdfunding ones. So we've got Dark Providence is essentially done. Marvel Witching Hour is essentially done. They're still doing some delivery. Dune Desert War, that's the one they gave an update on that's shipping right now. No update in Assassin's Creed. Adventures is starting production. Super Fantasy Brawl, they had a fairly, they're working on that. They're having to retool stuff and everything. That's one of their Mythic acquires. And then the other one that I'm kind of like, I really am looking for is Dead Keep, which no update on that. So,
yeah.
I guess they updated probably about half of their outstanding campaigns that they've got. So, which is good that they're doing that much updating because Mythic had a fraction of this and couldn't update one thing. So,
yeah, look. CMON have been honest about what's been going on from the start, whereas Mythic basically lied through their teeth throughout the entire crisis. And I mean that. They lied through their teeth through the entire process. They constantly lied about what was going on and pretended that they weren't in a financial situation, which it was very clear they were. I mean, CMON are as well, but they've been actively making moves to solve this problem from the start. You kind of mentioned something that I think we kind of teased originally when we talked about it, but I think it's probably worth noting that we still suspect that there's two causes of this, right? They've been relying on crowdfunding too much and not diversifying their portfolio.
Yep.
But also, they probably picked up a couple of things from Mythic that have hurt them. That have needed more work.
Super Fantasy Brawl
believed.
Got delivered, and they weren't trying to change the game because of the original release. So, but they've been doing some retooling, going through their manufacturer, and then adding stuff because they got the Mortal Kombat, the TMNT, those things. So that all has to be redone. But like hell, the last saga, the one that I was really, really, really disappointed in. They got that, and according to, well, no, so they sold that to a different company already. Yeah. So, but when they got that from Mythic, they said it wasn't finished in their eyes, i.e., it was a clone of a zombie side. So they had to redo that. They redid Anastair. They I think there was another one they did even. I know for certain it was those two. So they probably sunk time and money into those. They promised it to existing backers for just shipping. That probably ate a bunch of money too.
Yeah, before they passed it on. My assumption on that is that they passed it on starting to see that this was going to be a problem. Yeah. And they were like, we need to get rid of this before it sinks us. That's kind of my theory. Anyway.
So, and then my last little bit, the one thing that also is not on this list is Cthulhu Forbidden Reaches, I think is what the third installment is called, because they sold that to Asmodee. Asmodee has been updating that. Asmodee says anyone who's backed it is getting it, no extra money. But here's the thing. it's not on this list. Things are working in CMON's court, and if they need to push one of these other projects back because of a delay on another project, they can do that because it's their stuff. Asmodee now owns Cthulhu, and now they're pushing to get that out. So they're probably shoehorning and causing issues with the manufacturer, because why switch manufacturers when this manufacturer already has all the stuff already? Because there's season 1, 2, 3, and 4 existing in the exclusive boxes as part of the crowdfunding. So they're probably with the same manufacturer, and now they're trying to force their way in to get their stuff done too. So that's probably not helping CMON's timetable now either.
And I think realistically, as customers, it's the thing that we always forget to look at, right? Because let's go across here. Like realistically, from a customer point of view, what happens at the factory is kind of boring. Like, we just want our stuff, right? But surprisingly, one factory can only really deal with one mass production at a time. There's a giant line, and if you're not ready for your window, you miss your window and you have to wait for when it opens again. We've seen this multiple times in the past, and it's what causes most Kickstarter delays. Is a lot of the time they're just not ready for that window when it was open, so the factory goes to the next thing in line. It's it's a fact of life, right?
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Like, news, it's news. It's something that Mythic didn't do, so it's good.
Side note, they have said they're going to ship some things to retail first to help generate more revenue, which
I'm not happy with.
I get that.
I get it as well.
I'm not happy about it either, but I also understand it. The other thing, too, is, and they have continued to say this, is they have explicitly said, we are not going to ask backers for more money.
Yep.
So, they're sounding like a broken record when they're saying that, but, I'm okay with them constantly saying that, because that means they are actually making the effort. I mean, Mythic, it was like they hit one bump in the road with Darkest Dungeon. They're like, "Hey, you need to pay 50% more again, for your for this project."
They basically held the project to ransom.
Oh, you need to pay more money again. Like, and then Siege 6 was the same thing. So and then they weren't. So interesting to keep our eyes on, but I think we got Adepticon stuff now.
There's this company called Games Workshop. Now, Socks, I know I told you that you had to watch this. You need to stay calm, okay? I don't want to hear you getting overexcited because we're talking about your favorite little thing. It's just a Games Workshop product. Calm down. Everybody else, get as excited as you like. We are talking not just about Warhammer, but it's Warhammer 11th edition. So, I have mixed feelings on this. Like, we've kind of known that this was coming. I have issues with the fact that it happens this frequently, and I've had issues with it for a while. But that's my problem. Their audience doesn't seem to care, so that's fine. The thing that I find interesting, right? So, there's a new Armageddon happening, which happens every second edition, pretty much. It's almost like clockwork as well now. But the interesting part about this, rather than Armageddon kind of being like the death of slash celebration of an edition, it's happening as the launch this time. And I don't think that's ever really happened. I'm not really an Armageddon person. I understand that a lot of people are. Armageddon for me is a game type that I've never enjoyed. I did play it quite a number of times back in the day, and it just wasn't. It made a long game even longer. That doesn't mean that that's what this is. I'm kind of hoping that this doesn't mean that all 40k is going to be Warhammer for this edition, because that will not be a good thing in my eyes. I know what they'll.
I'm okay with an Armageddon game. Oh my god, cannot say gang or game in the same time. If everyone in that game is a good buddy. Like if there's 8 of your, okay, so let's say you and 7 of your friends, right? Let's do an Armageddon game. 4 on each side, and you can hang out all day with your buddies.
Yep.
That's one thing, right? That's a good afternoon. But if you and like 4 of your buddies and you hang out a lot and you're gonna go do this, and there's a couple other guys who are those guys,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. So I know there's some people who love that. I've heard some great stories about massive games that size, but yeah.
Yeah. So the opening box for this, and this is going to be another one of those limited time boxes like it always is Blood Angels versus Orcs, because it's Armageddon. That's what it should be. It's a callback to the original version, to the point where like it's even teasing artwork from the originals and what it was based on and stuff. They're making a big celebration of the fact that bolters are back, which I find interesting. I didn't really notice that they'd gone anywhere. I mean, I know that they've concentrated on like new stuff for a long time, but it kind of feels like they're celebrating something that, like, they're making out like something went away when it didn't. There's a lot of excitement for this, and there should be, quite frankly. I'm not poo-pooing on this. It's just not the most exciting thing that they talked about this weekend for me, because I have continually tried to be excited for Warhammer. Hell, I bought a new army, but the game itself just doesn't interest me. It's just not a game for me anymore.
As I've gone on, this is part of the reason why I'm like hyper focused into Malifaux a bit. Is it is that size of game. So, can we talk about another thing real quick that I just found in these Adepticon previews?
Yeah.
Let's go. Let me find it. So if you scroll down, the Cog Fort's March 4th.
Yep, it's on the list.
Huge update for. Is it okay? That's one of the ones we're gonna. So
it's
we'll
quite
talk about
literally
it
the third on the list. Let's just go there now.
Gotcha.
So yes, I actually thought these looked. I think these look really cool, but I have a point I want to make, because I don't think these fit cities. I don't think these fit cities of Sigmar at all. I think they've done this for the wrong army.
I think this is not for a skirmish size, board game size game. I think this needs to be like, so like in 40K you have the Imperial Guard. Back in the day you had the option for a tank column where everything in your army was a tank.
Yep.
This needs to be an option like that for the Empire, where you have an Empire army that is nothing but these. These are so amazing looking.
I really like pretty much everything they're teasing on this page. Although, in saying, like, Aramazon, the Enlightened one, on his flying goat is kind of boring to me. I just... oh, it's got a snake tail. I still think it's boring, though. But I love the battle mages.
That is so boring. That is so boring compared to the walking tower battlement things. Like,
I like the gate gargants.
Yeah, the walking tower things. So buy them, build them without people on them.
Yeah,
and then use those as terrain.
See, here's
because it's a mini that looks like terrain. That's a mini. It is so good looking.
Yeah, I really love this. My problem with this is I think this is an idea that should have been used for the Caradon Overlords. I realize that most of their army is like they're flying, but this doesn't. Cities of Sigmar, like the Cities of Sigmar is like meant to be scrounging together most of their stuff, and then you get the disparagement between like the clearly rich and everybody that's poor. This doesn't fit with that aesthetic at all. This
Oh my
is
God,
something that should be with Caradon Overlords. It would give another side to that force, rather than it
this
being
is so
one note.
dwarf.
It is
This
very
is so
dwarf.
dwarf. You are 1,000,000% correct on that, Bruce. I will bow down to that statement. My God, these are dwarf towers.
Yeah.
Because who's gonna build a walking tower with giant cannons? Dwarves.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I really like
Games
the
Workshop,
Gate
you screwed
Gargants. They are probably... I might even like them more than the tower, which is a big call because I do really love that tower. But this feels Cities of Sigmar to me.
So yes, for Cities of Sigmar, this is the best mini. You are correct though. The towers are not. They're not meant for Cities of Sigmar. They should not be part of this game. They need to be something else. Yeah, these are pretty cool too. I love the fact too that it's like their shields. You know, if they stand shoulder to shoulder, it's the actual gate like that. This harkens me back to when I was stationed in 29 Palms. I did a couple of wars with the SCA, Society of Creative Anachronism. I'm a lefty. My buddy was a righty. And so these were like, the people were like, hey, here's some maces. You guys get tower shields, stand shoulder to shoulder, and just run around, beat the crap out of people. And so here's two Marines in their 20s, you know, running around with guys in their 40s, just beating the crap out of them with foam maces and giant shields. Yeah. And just running people over. That's what this gives me a feel of. It gives me fuzzies.
I have a couple of thoughts on this. I mean, again, my thing on the tower, I think they belong elsewhere. This doesn't really feel much like an Adepticon preview. This just feels like something that they would show off on any random weekend.
If the towers were like a new thing you could do, like a new way, you know,
that is kind of my hope, that they are something that everybody's going to kind of get like, not specifically everybody has walking terrain, but like the end times.
Yeah.
I know people like to poo on the end times because they ruined our thing, but there was a really cool part of that when they started releasing really cool things for most factions. The next edition of Sigmar is next year, probably. I'm kind of hoping that this is like something that we start getting a little bit of for each faction. That would be kind of nice. Like something big and gigantic like that. Also, on the list of things that are really boring, Malice Forge Priest near puts me to sleep. There's nothing about this I find interesting at all.
Yeah. As you scroll past it though, the Triumph statue.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Like I am the guy that I will sit down and I will paint my stuff to the best of my ability so that it looks good.
Yep.
I would pay to have that painted so it is just as beautiful, glorious as possible.
Yep. No, it is very pretty. Also, Jorvan Career right after it. With the panther that's not a panther.
Yeah, that thing's weird. That's like a giant sphinx cat.
Yeah, I really, really like it though. It's really, really
I
cool.
definitely love his pose. And the best part is the way he's posed. It looks like you don't have to use his tactical terrain.
Most likely. But let's go back a step. This is the preview that probably got me the most excited. And I have a feeling that most people are going to go, why? Because it's just another Kill Team box, right? Yay, it's another Kill Team box. No, it's not just another Kill Team box. They're doing something completely different with Kill Team to change up the format. It's a 1 versus many box. It's coming with rules for giant miniatures versus your kill teams. They're doing something different with Kill Team to take it out of the cut and paste. There's been a lot of really cool boxes that they've released for Kill Team. But for a long time, it started to become like, we're copying and pasting for this next box and this next box and this next box.
Yeah,
This one, they're doing something different with it. And to me, at least, this is genuinely a chance for Kill Team to kind of become its own thing to a new level. Also, the Red Terror is back, which is kind of cool.
It looks so good. So this just occurred to me while you were talking, and I patiently waited for you to finish before I open my mouth. This box right here is giving me Aliens vibes.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's actually.
You have the
either.
Squad of Marines, and you have the uber nasty, Tyranid. Like, this is so, get away from her, you.
Yep. I would love. I know that this is me getting on my I want this to come, so I keep on finding new reasons to bring it up. I would love to see them do this with Catachans versus pretty much anything in that jungle that we've never had a miniature for. Because it's a genuine, unique opportunity to create something like that the fan base has always wanted and would pretty much sell out instantly. I mean, the return of the Red Terror is going to get people excited as well. All of these boxes sell really well. But if you did something like that where it's like, hey, we're not just doing something that's cool, we're doing something that you've wanted for 20 years, you don't just get people excited. You could probably produce twice as much and it still sells out.
Do you know what they could do that would make it sell even more?
Tell me.
If they hired someone that could write good AI rules for the monster in the box.
Yeah.
That way, you could sit down with your kill team
and your
fighting against this. Well, not even that. Like, you just sit down with your kill team, you pick a monster, the Red Terror or the Gargant Ambul or whatever, whatever giant monster, and it runs off AI rules, so you can just sit down and play with yourself. You don't have to, like, as much as getting out and playing the games with your buddies is great, but sometimes you don't have the time to do that. And if you have a good game with good AI that challenges you,
and that's the good AI rules, and make no mistake, we're not talking about getting an AI to write it for you. We're literally discussing the AI of the creature that you're fighting against.
Yeah. Like the way the card pools or the dice rolls work to determine the actions of the beast randomly, so that you don't have to do it.
Games Workshop concentrate their marketing and their business on the beginner side of the market, right? And I would say a large part of that beginner market are people that aren't really interested in the social aspect of this game, which is something that they kind of ignore. And I'm not having a go at them for that, because it's just not the way that they've ever thought about it. But if they was to create a version of this, and I'm not saying that you have to release something for 6 months. Like, you release a book that's do this one-on-one. Do this as a single-player game. And it's the single-player book. That basically, everything that's been released before that, you have its rules. The only thing the book in there is for is how you play the other side.
Yep.
It probably would need to come with a couple of card decks too, though.
Yeah. Like, I'm thinking like the way Cthulhu Death May Die works, right? Like, the AI in that game is really good. It is really, really good. If they could do something like that on a kill team size board where you're controlling a kill team and somehow they do something like that to control the Red Terror or whatever monster it is, you could really open up the community to, because, like you said, like, a newbie gets into the game. He doesn't know anyone, maybe one or two people, but he doesn't know the group of people at the store that are been hanging out for the last 5-6 years.
And look, does the hobby attract those people into it? Yes, of course it still does. But that doesn't mean that you it's one book that feeds a completely new audience that like painting but don't really want to go and play with other people. But maybe they'd like to play at home. Like there was a big fad of single player games on Kickstarter for a little while. I mean, they're still going, but it's not like it was a fad that died off. Single player games are a significant part of the industry now.
Mm-hmm.
In saying, like, yeah, this is the Nemesis Operatives book is the one that gives you all of the big. They talk here about dreadnoughts and hellbrutes. They show off the Amble and the Archivist. I'm very, very curious to see what else comes in this. I kind of have a feeling that we're not going to get some of the really cool things, but I guess we'll find out.
Well, if they do a release every 6 months of like, here's 2 new things, like
If Sly Marbo doesn't appear in that book, I will be upset. Sly Marbo is advertised as the one-man kill team. If he doesn't feature as one of the operatives in that book that you can fight against, they've done it wrong.
That's true. He is the 40k version of Gotrek.
Yep. All right, moving on.
Not as crazy as Gotrek.
We already looked at that. We have a new box. Yeah. We have a new box coming for Age of Sigmar. Another one. Because the other one is a preview of a release. So the City of Ash is the Free Guilds versus Clan Eshin, which is kind of like the only, like they're the ones that haven't really been getting a lot of releases on the Age of Sigmar side. And honestly, I kind of really like what they're doing here. I love this new Deathmaster on his piece of terrain. That is probably a piece of terrain that you're going to have to use with him. It's probably less of an issue with Skaven, though. I don't know. I'm kind of guessing. But a lot of these things are kind of coming and standing over certain types of terrain. They're clearly aiming this at somebody that's going for a new army, as opposed to trying to put this into an existing army. I would say. Not to necessarily disagree with, because I know that George has issues with terrain being on the thing that's not going to match the rest of your army. I don't think they're even trying to get this to go with another army. But again, like with Skaven, it's less of a thing because like they're running through the ruins and the sewers and whatever you want.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they're all separate pieces, but I kind of have a feeling they're not going to be.
The way that hand is on there, I think it's integrated. Knowing the scale and size of Skaven, like making that hand separate would be way too fiddly and fidgety.
Are you talking about the hand that's grabbing a knife? Because neither of his hands are resting. Unless you're talking about it.
I'm talking about a different model. No, that guy. He's got to be on that terrain too. Look at his cloak. Look at his cloak hanging down.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. The Free Guild are pretty much what we were just looking at. But honestly, the boring side of it.
Yeah, that dude is just, he's so lame.
Yeah. Like the Panther guy is the exciting part of that box, I feel. And then you've got, dullness and regular troops. Which is fine. It's for a general release.
Real quick, on the regular troops, go all the way to the right.
Yeah.
Dude on the bottom right of those 5 with his little flamethrower, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. It kind of looks like it's been scrounged together, which is very fitting.
I mean, the rest of them are kind of boring. Like, they're, shields and warhammers and maces. You got a standard bearer.
I like this guy that's using his hammer. Sorry, no, he's using his axe for his pistol. He's kind of just leaning it on there, going bang.
That's... But that flamethrower, no, that is pretty good. Because, nothing's better than a good flamethrower except a Tretch shotgun with a 16-inch bayonet.
Yeah. Yeah. And then finally on the Games Workshop side... Actually, no, not finally, because there is one last thing I want to look at. We have a giant statue of Mephiston being done by Weta Workshop. Because it's Weta Workshop, this means this is the top of the collecting pile. This is not for you and I, George. This is going to be... Well, I can tell you, this is expensive. It's 16 grand. So it's $1,600.
Okay, I was going to say 16 grand. Holy... 1,600, like... This is for the guy who, someone like me, who's, late 40s, early 50s, who's been playing Warhammer for a decade, whose army is the Blood Angels. Like, this is something where it's like, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to put this on my shelf, and I'm going to really enjoy looking at this and appreciating this because this is what I've done for the last decade, and this is a great keepsake that my kids are going to have to deal with when I'm gone because you can't take anything with you, but I want it now.
Yeah. Look, why is this so expensive? It's 1/6 scale. That's why. In Australia, this is
huge.
It's pretty much the better part of $2,500 Australian dollars. They do actually have payment plans, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can actually afford this. But they're not saying how much it's going to cost yet to post, and there's probably a good reason for that. It's going to be gigantic, and it's going to weigh a lot.
Yeah, 1/6 scale. So that's got to be like what, 2 feet tall?
When they on the actual, if you click on the pre-order, there's about halfway down. There's a thing pre-order now. The guy shows it off, and it's pretty much the top half of his. It's pretty much his torso. He's holding it at his hips, and it comes up to like here. It's huge.
Oh wait, is it in one of the? Okay, there we go.
It's 24 and a half inches tall.
Okay, so 2 feet tall. Yeah, so
it's huge.
Yeah, like, and I get this. Like, if you're a hardcore Blood Angels player, this is absolutely for you. Like,
yeah.
If this was a layman Russ, like even like as short as I've had my Space Wolves in comparison to some people and whatnot, like I would really look at that and be like, that would look really cool on my shelf right here.
Yeah.
Or I would find a place so that it's back there and it's on camera. Yeah, that's as much as I like to crap on Games Workshop for they finally got everything released for 10th essentially, and here's 11th now.
Yeah.
But this is one of those things where it's like that'll sit on the shelf for the next 10 years without an issue. And if you're that big a fan,
you will eventually
it's going to look good.
Yeah.
It's going to look good on that shelf for 10 years without a problem.
Yeah. Going back to the previews, there is a preview called Was Dr. Guts Mech Battles Commissar Yarrick for the Fate of Armageddon? So it's another one talking about Armageddon, but we get a look at the new Was Dr. Guts Mech, who's on a bike and is jumping over a piece of terrain, and it looks awesome. And it looks like you can probably build that without it featuring the rock. Because that bike will definitely fit on that base flat. It just probably means that you can't use that smoke. But the flame and everything is in line with the tire. There's no reason why you couldn't just have him racing forward.
There's no reason. Like, cut the dust down a little bit. Put that. That's not sitting flat on the base. He's popping a wheelie regardless.
Okay.
Like, take that wreck out. I'm gonna have him popping a wheelie. Like, that's a war boss on a bike. He's popping a wheelie.
Commissar Yarrick looks really cool, but I do have a problem with this, and it's going to be the same problem that everybody else has pointed out. So they brought back Commissar Yarrick, who had been moved into Legends. He's now back. But they brought him back, and rather than bringing him back with his faction, they've instead thrown him in with the Death Corps. Instead. We're not getting Steel Legion. They're not even talking about Steel Legion, and in fact, on their social medias, they've essentially made a joke about the fact that we don't have Steel Legion. Basically, they've done with him what they did with Sly Marbo, which is, we're going to give you this and then kind of never do anything else with this entire force, because we can't be bothered.
Yeah.
In saying that, I do like the new Hippogriff AFV, but I do kind of think that looks cool. But I'm sorry. You have this huge thing about how Cadia is dead, right? You've done nothing but push Cadia minis for the last 10 years and ignoring everybody else. You have this huge story about how Cadia is split in half and destroyed. But no, let's keep on doing Cadia minis. Oh, we're going to do the Death Corps a little bit as well, but it's still mainly Cadia, which takes away from this really big, important part of your story that you wrote.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they have to do Catachan or that they have to do Steel Legion, but they should have at least started focusing on someone else. I get the whole Cadia stands thing so that people still buy those minis, but that shouldn't be the number one mini that you're selling for Imperial Guard anymore. It should have become one of the secondary ones.
Yep. No, for sure. That being said, though, look at this. Like, I could totally see why people were saying Rebel Moon is a 40K movie.
Yeah, I could see that. Commissar Graves looks interesting, I guess. It's not really it doesn't really do much for me, but it's interesting. At least he's an interesting looking character. I like that he's got a version in a vehicle and on a vehicle. Croyle doesn't do much for me. I do like the Dogmata Superior, which is odd because I don't know why. I mean, it's very reminiscent of some very old 40k lore.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The Centaur RSV is kind of dull, but I really like the AFV, the Hippogriff. So I like the small one, sure. But the big one I don't like. And then that's it from the Games Workshop stuff from me. We've got some boxes coming.
Cog forts, like that's the big thing from Adepticon for me for Games Workshop is Cog forts.
Yeah.
I want to see a dwarf Cog fort now. I need a dwarf Cog fort.
They should be doing something for, and I mean this literally. It needs to be something for the Caradon Overlords too, not for the Fire Slayers. The Fire Slayers certainly need more stuff as well, but they can be ignored for now. The Caradon Overlords are a one-trick pony that needs something else to flesh out that force. It's a force that was a really cool idea, and they did nothing with it. They need something other than blimps. The blimps are cool.
I'd be happy with even just the regular dwarves. Yes, Caradon Overlords, but also I want to see something like for the normal dwarves with their grudge throwers and their cannons and the normal old school dwarves. I want to see something.
Yeah, but you're not going to be getting those. You're not going to be getting those in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, I know. No, they're in Age of Sigmar.
No, they took them out and moved them into Old World. You've only got Fire Slayers and Caradon Overlords now.
They're not part of the Free People still, or whatever?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, they are part of Free People. Yeah, you're right.
I know I'm right. Don't tell me I'm wrong.
All right, let's move on.
Moving
Combat.
On to who?
TT Combat. We have the new battlecruiser for the UCM. We have some pictures for it later as well, in person. But once again, this.
I like Was it the third image over with the torpedoes pointing straight down?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know what those are. Those go boom. Those make big holes in ground.
Yep. When they started advertising this, they started talking about how it's the most torpedoes they've had on a sprue ever. Which, given that you have a mass group of them like that, makes sense. I really like what they're doing here. Like, it still holds the same aesthetic, but it kind of looks very different. The battle cruisers continue to impress. I'm still really keen to see the Scourge one.
There's a last image. It's got the 4 torpedo sprue, but it's got another thing. And you see that on the bottom of one of the ships. Second image.
Yep.
What is that? Is that like just?
I want to say it's a
Is that a-
scanner of some kind.
Yeah, or like some sort of like array weapon, energy weapon. You know,
It points
that's not a UCM
down,
weapon.
though.
It points down. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's like a microwave array almost, but that's not a UCM style weapon because they're very physical except for their lasers, and that doesn't look like
Many of these new classes include a colossal docking clamp. This accommodates a skyscraper-sized, self-deploying platform, surface-based Aegis communication and torpedo launch. So these are buildings that you launch from space.
Oh, holy crap!
I did know that.
What's a faster way to colonize than just to drop the city from the ship?
Yeah. So those are torpedoes that will land on the ground and then fire from the ground.
That sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's kind of ridiculous.
Oh, the next one, he's so cute, and he has a cute little name.
The hated little chaos. I love this so much. There's something
so cute.
specific about this that I really like. I love the box art on this. The new box art that they're doing is really cool.
Yeah. And he's cute because he's a little chaos. That means at some point they're going to have big chaos. Dave, big chaos. Let's go.
I will buy it.
Oh, chef's kiss again.
To the
The Guy Fawkes.
Guy Fawkes, yeah.
Oh, especially the V for Vendetta, the actual history of Guy Fawkes. Oh my god. Oh,
So this is a character from what was the box called? Where it was Resistance versus you were breaking somebody out of a prison ship. I'm sure that's where this guy comes from. Guy Fawkes, clearly not his real name. He's famous for one thing: blowing battleships to smithereens with fire ships. Yeah. So this is going to be a thing. They're starting to release specific characters for Drop Fleet, which is something that they probably we probably should have had this by now, but as part of the new edition, this is really, really cool. I mean, my favorite is obviously going to be the Scourge because, well, I mean, look at it.
Because you're a filthy insect.
They are
parasite.
the true heroes of this story. Whether you accept that because of the UCM propaganda is your problem.
Whatever. The true heroes are the Shaltari because they are the benevolent, godlike species that will rain brimstone and fire upon those who don't fall in line.
Yes, and that definitely makes them the good guys and not the bad guys, right?
Working in 40K.
The next couple of ones kind of just nice and simple. I actually do really like the idea of like the mines look really cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
UCM mines.
I'm surprised that wasn't part of the original launch. Like mining the atmosphere of a planet is like fortifying 101.
It makes sense. And we got more torpedoes, because I guess with all of these things having torpedoes, you're going to need some more tokens for it. We also get some
and there's
Shaltari
different types of
mines.
torpedoes. If you go back to the torpedoes, there's 2 different types.
Oh, there is 2. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, there's big and not so big.
Yeah. So we have heavy void torpedoes. Apparently they're over 220 meters long, which will be, I don't know, something feet. So it'll be roughly 660 feet long.
Yep.
Because
That
it's 3
tracks.
feet in a meter.
Ish.
Yep. And then Shaltari mines look kind of cool. Different types of mines as well. They look very Shaltari. And we also get Shaltari fire ships. Which look cool. We get resistance
These
fire
look like
ships.
little flying gun platforms.
Yeah, I can see that. The little resistance fire ships feel very cute.
They do. They feel almost magic school bus-ish.
Did you ever see... It's an old kids movie from the 80s. Batteries Not Included.
Yes. No, disassemble. Disassemble dead.
Yeah, that's what these remind me of. I don't.
They
Really know
do
why,
kind of have that feel. Yeah. They do have that kind of 80s feel.
And then last but not least, we have Senshi the Undying, which is another one with a really cool box art piece. And Ebenezer Chummage with an uncomfortable name. Just something about Chummage makes me go, I don't like that. But he's clearly
a whale hunter, so he's chumming.
Look, he's clearly just a butcher. That's all he is. He's definitely not anything more than that.
That harpoon on his back says otherwise.
I know. As does the fact that he's holding one of the creature's heads. Like, sometimes a standard pose can really work to a character's advantage. You know, I was kind of like those other ones where it's kind of just standing there, it's kind of dull, because they weren't doing anything. But this guy looks like he's standing there with a reason. I mean, yes, I mean, the guy was holding his medallion out and he was going, look at how important I am. But like, this is try something. Like, he's daring you to come at him.
So, I know, Carnivale is supposed to be like, the very Florentine Italian, but the introduction of this obviously Japanese guy into that is just a really cool, and yes, it's supposed to be a Japanese character, but it also has that very like Victorian Italian feel to it. It's
still
and
fits like it still feels like it's fitting in the world.
Yeah. My props to whoever painted that tattoo on him.
Yeah.
Holy
Agreed.
cow.
Yep.
Holy cow.
Props to and a screw you to them. Because I can't do that. It's done really well.
Yeah. The new favorite saying is, save some skill for the rest of us, please.
Yep. Yeah.
All
right, moving on. Oh, we have previews from Adepticon. I believe these are photos from Shay. I could be wrong. It was either Shay or JP.
The Malifaux?
No, the TT Combat ones. They're in Discord.
Oh, I did see the TT Combat ones.
They're a little bit earlier. So we've clearly got some UCM. We've clearly got some Biophyces.
Which chat is that in?
Taylor's chat.
Taylor's chat. Okay, let me scroll up.
We also have
nope, that's your
garage.
Garage.
Battle cruisers here, which look kind of nice.
Oh, there we go.
And there's another picture
Oh, okay, yeah.
of the Biofighter ship. That looks to be a dreadnought by the look of it. The one that's in the background.
Yep. Considering that it looks like that's a Shaltaria battleship in the foreground, so it's either a battleship or a dreadnought for that Biofighter.
Yeah. My theory is that it's the dreadnought, but I could be wrong. But as George said, we also have some weird stuff. So this is pretty much going to be the end of our news, but I'm kind of just going to skim through this. This is like Weird and Malifaux. This is what their presentation was, essentially. So they start by talking about the other side. They recently spoke about how they're moving that across to My Mini Factory over the next 12 months. Wait, is it 12 months? Yes. Everything will be uploaded within 1 year. So the cycle of that going through is 1 year's support. There's going to be new models for each allegiance. New Fields of Glory this year, which I'm guessing is going to be some sort of campaign book or an expansion book of some kind. And there's something here about future, but I can't see what the text is. But then we get to the state of M4E. So,
Yep.
Ignore George for a second, because I know George has feelings on Malifaux. So, the design goals that were met. The play time has been reduced, which is a good thing, because it was kind of getting to a point where it was taking up a lot of time. It's more new player friendly, which is something that the game needed. Kind of like, I will say this, I don't feel Malifaux's ever has been as complicated to get into as what Infinity has a reputation for. But it was quite in depth. You did kind of, they definitely have helped that for new players. Obviously, yes, there's a new fresh balance. They've pretty much changed how everybody works significantly. And apparently the feedback has been positive so far. The other side here is where I feel like, I don't think we're going to disagree with any of this, George, even as someone that's very keen and interested in the game right now. I think this pretty much echoes the frustrations that you've had. Acquiring new players is obviously, it's a problem for every game that's not Games Workshop.
Yep. Yeah,
Making product available is the biggest problem they have right now. You may remember a few months ago we covered a story where the ship that was carrying their stuff got caught on fire. There's nothing that they could have done about that, and it's pretty much thrown off their availability and their ability to purchase their products ever since. They're still trying to recover from that. It's probably worth noting that as part of this, they apparently made a remark about how they will never announce a plan for anything ever again.
Yeah.
Which very tongue-in-cheek. I love that remark, if it is something they actually said.
It's very fitting for a company who's decided to call themselves weird.
Yeah. They said that they still need to focus on marketing as well, which is probably true. I mean, I kind of get the impression with Weird that they kind of rely on the community a lot for their marketing and stuff. I mean, they have marketing that goes out, but when you are trying to compete with a company that has a 75 to 80% market share, it's really hard to get people to notice your stuff.
To be fair to you, Bruce, I'd never heard of this game until you talked about it. So
yeah. And then organized play options becoming available, which we're going to talk about. First things first, we have a Minions to Masters. This is a campaign system that they're launching, which sounds awesome. It's going to be like an XP network, volunteers trying to encourage people to play weird stuff, tournament prizes, like they're giving a focus on organized play. But then we also have the campaign mode. So sorry, I jumped ahead a little bit there. So you get to build your own custom crew. You get to focus on your own creativity and community. We'll explain how this is working in a moment. It's very flexible. You get to build your own master. So it's kind of lending from the role-playing game a little bit here, I suppose. You get to gain new equipment, suffer injuries. So, you get to choose 2 keywords from any faction. All models within those keywords are allies. Lots of combos and story potential. You get to design your own crew card. 10 unique starting options, choosing from existing crew cards as you level up. So you get to earn characters from the game already. Designing your leader, there's 1 of 5 archetypes that you can choose from, and then you will obviously build your character around the archetype that you've chosen. You get to choose the abilities and actions from existing models. Probably dependent on which archetype you've gone with, will depend on which abilities you have, I would imagine. You get to choose whether it's a strategist or a bruiser, depending on what sort of master you want to have. Bruisers for George's, like that is like they're getting in on the fight, and as opposed to a strategist where their abilities are all about helping and the strategy of the fight. And then you get to choose your base size and height, and basically any model or conversion you want. Aftermath is fairly obvious. Like there is consequences to things that happens in game, and that'll help you build character, and you get abilities, you get skills, you get to advance your leaders and your crews. There's equipment that you can earn, up to 82 individual pieces apparently. You get to advance your leader with new triggers, new actions. Your leader gets to get better as the campaign goes. And then we get to the thing that I went, oh, God, yes. Because this is a game that really lends itself to this. Cooperative Malifaux is something that the game has never done, but is something that the game should be able to do very nicely and very easily. It just feels like it makes sense to me, right? Cooperative single-player games are something that's kind of been going on for a while. They talk here about how there's non-player models, which is what's on the next... Nope, not the next. It's the one after that. Oh, I must have closed it. Oh, no, non-player models. So there's like... You're obviously having to fight against something, so there will be an AI system of some kind. All player control models activate in one phase. So it's going to be you versus them type thing. Crews are smaller, games are quicker. So I guess because you're working together, you're using less models and stuff.
Like 2 crew boxes instead of a fleshed out crew, probably.
Yeah. So, I think we'd have done really well with this presentation. Now, we haven't been able to watch the presentation. It is out on YouTube, I believe, if you want to go and find it. I think there's been a couple of people that actually covered it. But these are the screenshots that Shay managed to get for us because he's literally been there. I'm very jealous.
Yeah. I shared these over to the Colorado Malifaux group that I recently found and joined, and they had a great positive reaction to these. So, not having played a game yet, not even having a crew yet because stuff caught on fire. I'm liking the look at this. It seems like I picked this game because it fits into that like. It's that crew size. It has that that genre feel that I've kind of developed a liking for, and this game has just turned into so much more before I even started it.
The thing I really appreciated about Malifaux when I first got into it, and especially like at that point I was somebody coming from Warhammer, was that every miniature was its own individual character. So like, you had a reason to enjoy painting everything. It wasn't that you're now painting the 60th version of the same miniature and I'm so bored of painting these now. It's, this is the third one of this, but it looks completely different from the other 2 that I've already done. And it's across the entire range. Yeah, for sure. Does it mean that you have to paint everybody like your leader? No, but it means that it helps with motivation, at least on my side.
Yeah. Well, like... So the 2 crews that I have, the Seamus and the Ivan, like those are more based off like actual real things. Yeah. Which the scale 75 paints I have are more realistic colors, not, the fantasy range.
Yep.
And I am super excited for, taking a crack at those and like using like, very realistic colors and painting on something instead of, your traditional like, fantasy stuff, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think they're doing quite well here. I mean, yes, there's obviously getting stuff out to stores and stuff is clearly still an issue, and they're not trying to hide that. They know that that's a problem. And you know what? There's something I love about a company that will just say, "Yep, we know this is a problem. We're trying to work on it," as opposed to trying to pretend like it's not happening, like others have in the past. Or
Yep.
deliberately shorting things so that it looks like you have to buy stuff when you don't.
Yeah, it's actually funny you mentioned that because store over the hill from me, they're not getting any of the new Custodes war boxes because Games Workshop screwed up their logistics.
Yeah, which is happening a lot.
Yeah, so
Cream, glue, prime, paint.
Go on, George. You know you want to show it off.
well, so a couple things. As you know, I got the new airbrush, and it came with the quick connect for the hose. I ordered another quick connect so that I could just quick connect it to the compressor so that the hose is not unscrewed every time or just left attached. So I did that. I have to wheel back to grab something real quick. Well, two things.
While George is grabbing those things, I have been.
There we go.
Nope, here we come.
So I got this little deal right here. It's called a brush rig. Totally not meant for our scale of painting, but I'm going to give it a go. But I can mount a GoPro to that, and then I can hold the brush, and then the GoPro will be right here pointing at the tip of the brush.
Okay.
The only thing is because paintbrushes are paintbrushes. Normal paintbrushes are much bigger and bulkier, so easier to hold on to. I need to find some silicone grips or something to put on the ferrule so that I can hold on to it with the GoPro hanging out to the side so it doesn't rotate like that. And whatnot.
Yep.
Also, turns out my GoPro, the battery, the one that I can put the macro lens on, the battery is shot. It won't take a charge.
It's alright. You can buy a replacement battery.
Yeah, so. And then I discovered this glue. This is a great glue for PLA. And I'll show you why. So, I've been very busy with my new bamboo. So, I got this printed. And this is Mr. Rockfist from the Space Wolves sitting in the middle of that, just to give you an idea. So, this is about a 1 foot by 1 foot size terrain. As you can see, I've got the grid under it, but that glue has made it so that it is all glued together and can support a lot of weight. Because I'm not exaggerating when I say this. This is probably about 1.5 spools of filament. So pretty close to 1.5 kilos of plastic just for this square, and I can hold it up by a corner, and that glue supports all the weight.
Yeah.
Also, second of all, it just let me grab my phone real quick so I can switch the camera view. It just turned out so good.
We've been kind of going back and forth on this a little bit because you were like asking me for advice on how to build things out, and like initially, like the initial table idea looked really cool, but you didn't really have gaps big enough to fit through. Now, in saying that, look, when in Malifaux especially, like before you start the game, you're supposed to sit down with your opponent and say, okay, this is blocking terrain, you can't go through this, this is that. So in the case of like where it's between like planter boxes and stuff, you would probably just say something like you can go through there, but it's dangerous terrain or whatever, so like you have to move slow through it, which would make sense. But you want to have some gaps that are big enough to actually, stand in the middle of, because you might need to have objectives there and stuff.
Right, and it's worth pointing out that the reason why I've got Mr. Rockfist from Space Wolves there is because he's on a 50 mil base, which is the biggest base in Malifaux.
Yeah.
So some of the smaller characters, they can probably go through the gap here between the tree and the planter box, but would be restricted to a larger model, which also makes sense because sometimes the way terrain's set up is, you know, big models can't go through some areas like in 40K and Sigmar and stuff like that. Like, so I think this is unintentionally worked out really good.
Yeah.
As a design, because I'm gonna do 2 of these with like a gazebo in the middle, and then like I've got different houses and whatnot. But this is all printed. This is not paint; it's all filament from my Bamboo A1. It's turned out really good.
Yeah. Like could
I'm
you do
even
more with
debating,
that? Like, obviously, yes, you could. I mean, you could wash it and paint it, but you really don't need to. That is
that's
perfectly fine to play on right now.
Yeah, like, and that's the one thing is just like, I could wash this, but do I want to go through the effort of washing it? Like,
I don't think it's worth it.
like, I think it just looks so great. And again, I shared it to the Malifaux group I found in Colorado, and they were like, "Holy crap, that's awesome!" And I shared a couple of the images of, you know, what I had designed on the computer, but seeing it, like, as you can even attest to, like the images I shared last episode versus like actually seeing it are just phenomenal.
Yeah. For the record, last episode you showed off a planter. When you were showing off the terrain, I believe that was with us after the fact. I don't think we showed that
Was
on
it?
the
Okay.
episode. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I can't remember either, but yeah, I'm just really happy how this is, like, the sturdiness of this, of like just gluing it together. So it's like, because my goal is, if I were to do each individual tile, like setting that up for a game, this is one of what would be 9. Setting that up before every game would be so tedious and not worth it. But pre-designing this as a tile, and then having 8 other tiles that you can move around, like, that's super easy and fast to set up for a game. It's super transportable for a game. You know, it's I am so happy with that. Like, it was $80 for this STL kit. So worth it.
Yeah.
Like, to just sit here, be able to print this out, glue it together. It's like, I have a terrain board. I have a good terrain board now. Like, yes, there's obviously better, but for durability to play on, like, if this breaks, I can glue it together. It's just plastic.
And if you
I
get
wanna
bored of it,
change
you
it
can
up,
just print another tile with a
I can
different
just
layout.
print another one. Exactly. Yeah. So, will it be heavy to move and transport? Yeah, probably. Because if that's almost 1.5 kilos. So doing math, that's about 3 pounds per board times, 8 more boards. Also, the house boards are going to weigh more because they're 3-dimensional and go up more.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I've been busy doing. I've been working on something else, but I'm not ready to show it off yet because it's something I started years ago. Hit my burnout where I didn't do anything, and I kind of started working on it again. So I'm actually getting pretty close to getting it finished, and I'll get it shown off here probably in the next 2 months.
Yep. Nice. So for me, I'm going to start with what is probably the boring bit, which is the garage. So last episode, I spoke about how I'd been working on clearing out the garage. These are pictures that are available on the Discord as well, George, just for the record. I'm kind of just showing them on screen. This is where things were at the when I was talking about it last episode. Like, you still got piles everywhere. And basically what I was like, I reckon I've just got one more trip to Bunnings before it's done. In saying that, it's going to be more than one. So this fortnight, I purchased 2 brand new shelves to put everything away so we don't have those piles of shelves anymore. There is still a pile here on the side, but a lot of this is like stuff that's you can't actually see it, but like, there's stuff in the side here that's being kept there because it's for hard rubbish and stuff. But It's so much easier and so much neater in there now. You also kind of have my motorbike sitting in the middle of it, just to give you an example of how much space I've actually cleared out. Going back to this first image of, like, that's how it was originally. This entire room was essentially full of boxes only a month ago. I have cleared out a lot of crap. Or reorganized a lot of crap, I should say. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, that's kind of starting on the boring stuff. Just because, like, there was a couple people who was like, well, why didn't you take any pictures? There you go, I've taken pictures. I kind of wish I'd taken a photo before I organised anything, just to show how bad it was. It's probably the only thing I kind of didn't do. I did show off this last episode. I showed off that I'd been painting it. I have continued my painting. I certainly haven't done as much this fortnight as I did last fortnight, because my concentration was kind of everywhere. But I still haven't done the dry brushing on this. But I am really happy with how it's come out. Like, it does. I know not everybody likes the white that you get in the speed paint, because, you know, it comes out grey, and, like, you know what the shade is for a white, George? It's grey.
Yep.
I mean, it can also be tinted towards blue and other things as well, but it depends on what you're trying to paint. Really happy. Like, the feathers on the back certainly looks better because it's a much larger area. It will definitely look better when it's been dry brushed, but I'm still very happy with it. In saying that, the reason I've got it here is I have been doing the basing. Because, well, things need to be based. So this is Patchy Plains by Geek Gaming Scenics. And because, like, my force is, you know, it's a Native American force, I kind of, like, I wanted something that actually felt like that's where that was supposed to be. And
Sure.
as much as, like, Wild West is quite frequently shown as, like, desert type environments and stuff, like Deadwood and da-da-da-da-da. But Native Americans generally tended to live on the plains. They didn't live in desert environments, generally speaking. I'm not saying they didn't spend any time in them. They may have done. I wouldn't know. But I wanted to do the plains and move away from that, the aesthetic that you tend to see.
The oldest known establishment of where people were living in the United States is in New Mexico, and it's from the 1400s. And that's a very desert environment. So, I mean, the indigenous were all over the country, but, you know, for what Wild West Exodus, like Wild West, that's the region where I'm at, which is High Plains Desert, but it's not what you think of as desert. So, you know, we do have trees, but I technically live in a desert, so.
This is the other version of that same miniature, the one that I wanted to paint up to look more like a vulture. In the end, I decided to base mine. It doesn't look like a cartoon, but it very much is inspired by the cartoon vulture head, because that's just what a vulture's always looked like in my head. Also,
well,
like,
they do look like that, so.
Yeah, like, it's not a perfect representation, but I kind of went with the rule of cool to some extent. I really like how the wings and stuff turned out as well.
No, yeah, that looks really good. Like, that's super awesome, Bruce.
But in saying that, I have one more to show off, and it's invisible. No, I'm kidding. Bumping things. This is the base and the miniature. I've decided to go with the curve stand, as much as I know not everybody likes them, but I actually don't mind it. I kind of feel like I stumbled across the perfect brown feather color.
You did. Like,
it is the same as the vulture. Like, it is actually the same color here, but it looks slightly different because these feathers are so large. It's a speed paint, so it comes across more golden here. This is in lore, this is actually supposed to be a hawk, but it's actually a falcon. I have kind of in the actual pictures on the artwork, it's more of a golden head. I decided to just stick with the brown and because I kind of figured by the time I paint up everything with the character, it's going to end up looking like too many colors I was worried about. And I could always dry brush it up to be gold if I needed to.
Yeah, I was gonna say what you could do to like not give it too many colors, but give it that little hint is just hit it with a nice yellow dry brush to grab those edges. To because if you look at are where a lot of the color is, because that's where the guy birds look sexy as what's on their head and chest. So hitting that on a little bit just on that head, would sell it without overdoing it.
Basically, what I did with this. I painted the rim. I painted the base first because if you do these sort of things over the top of just bare plastic, it doesn't tend to stick very well.
Yeah.
So I did that first. I then did this ground texture over the top of it, which is one of the Diorama ones. It's just earth texture. And then I've done the ground over the top of it. I didn't really need the texture, but I didn't want everything to be flat, so I did that just so that, I mean, underneath it's not the smoothest it could ever be, but and then I've glued everything down, and I'm really really happy with it. Like,
yeah,
it's subtle in the way that it's not all flat, but it helps just that little bit.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I'm a big fan of corking with my bases, because I've got the base as like, it's the plinth. Then I can glue the cork on. Doesn't matter if it's plastic or whatnot. Like, I've got such a large flat surface area to get good adhesion. And then I've got that rough edge of the cork to like, that's the dirt in the ground, and then I can build it up and, make it look all, does it give up like a quarter of inch of like, visibility with terrain stuff? Yeah. Does it look cool though? It's such a good easy medium to add that basing texture and terrain to.
Yeah,
so
it just makes sense.
Yeah, what you did there I think looks absolutely stunning. Like, it's part of the yes, you have texture paint. Why does that exist? To do that. So
yeah, it's just one of those things. You got to use the motivation while you've got it, right?
Yep.
In saying that, I've just realised I didn't actually pick a game topic for this weekend. So, let's do game talk, and let's talk about the upcoming year.
Talk nerdy to me.
So, one of the big things for the upcoming year is obviously Malifaux for you, because you're building a whole table for it, and you're buying 2 crews so that you can play with people, and you've reached out to a community in the state across from you. Anything else in particular that you're building as far as... Because Strike Team won't be here. Oh, actually, no, it will be here before the end of the year. In theory.
Yeah, in theory. Well, in the process of switching offices, I've gotten... Yes, I have less space in here, but I have a better hobby space in here. Like, I feel more organized, I guess. Like, you know how it's just like if you have all this space, like you spill out and you're less organized versus if you have to be very focused. Like my bench now, like this is my old computer desk. Casey used it for her office when she was back here. Got herself a different desk because she needed a desk, but she also got into doing fingernail stuff, so she needed a space for that. So took it apart, put it in the shop, trying to sell it for like $100. No one bought it. And then we did the swap, and I had an old ratty desk and it worked, but I didn't like it. I wanted to like focus it down so it was more focused and more well designed. And it turns out that the dimensions I was going for is that bench that back there. This is the exact dimensions. So instead of having to build something, it's just like, oh, I already have this. So I was able to get that set up. You can see behind me where I've got this little white IKEA shelf. my new compressor fits perfectly on that, but I found a 2-drawer sliding thing that I'm going to mount so I can pull it out on like sliding metal rails. So I can pull the airbrush out, I can pull my shaker out, and they'll be right here to my left, which that's where I want it because I'm left-handed. And so like I will have that to where it's easily usable and accessible, but I don't have dedicated space for it that's taking up space. So, that was part of that, And with doing that, it's like I pulled out this mini. I showed it to you. What was it, about a month ago? I like kind of dry fit together and showed it to you, and you gave me a very positive reaction to it, and that kind of motivated me of like, I need to get this thing finished because it's about 75% there.
Yep.
And so I did some work on it. I'm actually really close to like being able to just glue the entire thing together and like have it actually mounted to the base and then finish up the last few details. Um, when I showed it to you, it was probably about 75%. It's probably at about 80% now. Because there's a lot of detail that I need to do, but the detail can be done while it's all glued together. Like the stuff that I've done, like there's a couple things I can glue together and like not have to worry about it. So, but yeah, especially seeing like the stuff that Shay showed with the Malifaux, like looking into this like this minions to masters thing, like that could be something to get people more in my area to um pick up the game. I do want to get into this game. It looks like it's fun. It's different, but it's still a tabletop game. Like how hard is it to pick up? Like I watched a how to play Malifaux 4E, and I've got it about 60% there for never having played a game before.
Yeah, like like a lot of things. In order to like, there's only so much you can watch to learn how to play something. You kind of need to get to the table eventually.
Yeah.
Because that's when it starts to sink in, right? Well, different people learn differently. That's what I find.
I can read anything all day long, but I don't learn anything really until I see it done or I do it myself. So
that's a good question. This is completely change the subject. How are you with when it comes to rule books?
I hate them. I've never been a strong reader. Reading comprehension has always been a little bit of a problematic thing for me. I'm more of a hands-on visual learner.
Yeah.
Which makes it really hard to get IT certifications because sitting there reading stuff and then like try to answer correctly to say I know what I'm doing when like I can sit here and do stuff and like there's a couple guys that I work with, it's like they've got a whole slew of certifications and I do the same work they do and I don't have those certifications. Like
because there's only one way that they teach IT and it's the way that you don't learn very well.
Yep. So but yeah, no, yes, you need the rule book. Yes, you need to read it. And like, don't get me wrong. There's a book series that I've been reading. I love it. I can read. I'm not a complete crayon eater.
It's that you don't get around to reading.
Reading to comprehend is what I like. Reading a story. Like, I could sit there and read the lore pages in a book as a short story, and I love it. But when I'm reading, like, to comprehend something, like, traditional learning.
Yep.
That's why I'm just a high school graduate instead of having an actual bachelor's or something like that.
So when you sat down to learn how to play Cthulhu Death May Die, your favorite game, did you learn with the rulebook or did you watch videos?
I learned with someone who could read and comprehend.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that is a different way of working out the problem. The reason, like when you brought that up, the reason that I brought it up is because I have no problem reading either. I don't have a problem with reading comprehension at all. I never have.
Mhm.
For me, when it comes to reading, is that I just never get around to it.
Yeah.
It should be the most obvious example of my ADHD that should have been realized as a child, but nobody
Yep.
really pointed it out until I was 40 something. I love going through codexes, but sitting down and reading a rulebook is just not something I enjoy, and therefore it gets put off forever.
Yep.
Ironically, I don't really feel like it's hurt when it comes to building mine, because I mean, I guess I have motivation for it, but because I enjoy the writing aspect of it. I've always been a creative writer. I always have enjoyed that side of it. Then why don't you do more articles on gettingtabled.com? Well, nobody really reads articles anymore. But yeah, just one of those things.
Yeah,
I just don't.
yeah.
I don't see that there's any value there. Also,
Yeah.
writing an article for the sake of an article isn't what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
It's
for
writing
sure.
something because
Yeah, see, like for me, it's just like I try to read every night for 15 to 20 minutes right before I go to bed. Like it clears my brain of all the other stuff that I've been worried about. I jump into this, world on, my fake digital paper. I use a Kindle to read because
Yep.
wait,
Because it works.
oh, that is one of the best purpose-built devices that. Can it replace a book? 1,000%. It's easy to read like paper. It looks like paper.
I actually
Sometimes
agree
just
with you.
still want that. Sometimes you still want that physical book, but as far as like reading on a Kindle, it's no different than reading like a paperback book or a hardback book. Um, and I try to do that every night because it's good for my brain and stuff like that. But reading a rule book to comprehend and how to play a game is the hardest thing for me to do, which sucks because I love playing games.
Yeah.
And
It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Getting back to future, my side of it, obviously, I mean, I'm working on a game of my own. I just mentioned Entropy City.
Yep.
So I have just renewed entropycitygame.com. Realistically, long term, that's probably not a URL I will need to keep forever. But in the back of my head, it's like, well, it's costing me $30 Australian. And there's the
That's
chance.
not a lot.
No, Spaceship is much better than GoDaddy when it comes to that.
Oh yeah.
The hosting at this stage is costing me 20 to 30 somewhere. So it's costing me about $60 in total, but that's for 12 months. In saying
Yeah,
that,
that's like $30-$40. Like,
yeah,
which is still nothing.
yeah. In saying that, the website that I use is an extremely simple one. Like card.co largely gets used for like profiles and like job search stuff, and like, hey, this is who I am, to advertise who you are. If you was a game developer, you might use it to talk about the things that you've developed and the work that you've done. And it's all very, very simple. I considered for a moment jumping over to something a little bit more in depth, which I will do eventually. But I kind of realized, like, the game, I'm not at the point where the game needs to be more yet. I'm like, it's largely placeholder. Is it a boring website? Yeah, but at the same time, that's okay. It doesn't need to be anything more than it is right now. Like, it says everything it needs to. When I get to a point where I have more art and stuff that's finalized and done, maybe that's the point where I start considering it. The other thing I've been working on has been the rulebook, and I'm trying to work on how I intend to start putting this out. For a large time, the public version that I have shared out, other than it being a PDF, has essentially just been the Word document that I have always been using. I changed that recently because there's stuff in there that's only there as notes to myself for later. Like there's a whole section of like skills and traits that don't get used in the game right now. Because these were ideas for skills and traits that I will give to individual characters at a later time. Some of them are good skills and traits to have, some of them are bad ones. It's done that way deliberately. And like people look at it sometimes and go, why would you ever want your character to have this? Because they don't have the full picture. Like if you have somebody that has a bad side, they're probably also going to be cheaper to use. And that's kind of the... Like in Bushido, you'll have certain characteristics that you don't necessarily like, but because they have them, they're cheaper to use and stuff. That is ultimately going to be the idea. But what I've started doing when I update the document is I'm removing a lot of the stuff that people just don't need to see, and realistically it just confuses them with it being there. Like that whole section of traits and skills has essentially been deleted at this point from the public version of the document because it doesn't need to be there. There was a whole section about talking about why cars don't exist in the game that I've completely deleted as well. Because as much as that was there because people kept on asking me about cars, I think the message of that's gotten across at this point. And I kind of was like, well, you know what? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't add to anything. So I just deleted it because when the game comes out, this is the stuff that's in the game. Why isn't there cars? Sure. Because it's not in the game. Also, like, there's always a chance that it may change later, I suppose. But
like an expansion where there's, the Mad Max cars, or
yeah. The way I see it in my head is that if I was ever to do cars, it probably would only be for the police. And realistically, it's got to be treated like a tank or something. Because it's just like somebody on a bike versus somebody on a car is just trouble. Like
just
balancing that.
Just go look at your local news when, a motorcycle's involved in an accident.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's where things are at the moment. I need to get Entropy City back on the table. It's been quite a few months since it's been on the table at this point because I've kind of been working on the hobby side and just the balances. And the big thing for a long while was transporting the game was starting to become a problem because the bag that I was using to carry all the terrain started to tear. And that's one of the reasons why I started going through the garage, because I wanted to buy a new proper heavy-duty tub to put everything in. So, well, if I'm buying it for that, I should probably clean out the garage and stuff as well. Yeah. So I now have an easier way to transport that. I strap it to the bike and I can transport it much easier. I probably have more in there than I need, where I'd gotten to a point where I had all of the terrain, but then my cement tiles, or the tiles that's supposed to be cement, were having to be carried in a different bag, which was a pain, and it's all together and it's all one now. I have also updated the document, so at the very end of the document is a section of playtesting lists of what are, like, these are the lists that I'm using to playtest things, or if people want to playtest it at home. I've never heard of anybody doing that at this point, but if anybody does, grab these lists. In theory, they should be balanced, but this is why we're playtesting them. There is a list there for the Mutiny. There is a list there for Komodo. There's a list for Hades and Komodo. And now there is a list for the police as well, because I now am ready to start testing that third faction. The Mutiny do not have a list yet, but they will have one shortly. And if you open the document, go to the end of the page, it actually includes the cards and everything as well. I have removed the art of my miniatures that I've converted from the cards, because they're not miniatures I own, they're conversions that I've done to other people's products. But also, if George was making two forces to playtest this for me, he's not going to have the same miniatures that I do. And me putting pictures of miniatures that I've painted is just going to make it harder to figure out what's going on. So I just removed the pictures and left everything else standard.
Yeah.
I think...
Yeah, the only thing I think you could, feasibly include is, like, This is the base size, so that someone can
Well,
just,
yeah,
you know,
which
like,
is the base size is the same for everybody at this point.
Yeah.
That's not a bad
That's,
idea.
hence why this is my standee for, like, you know, the big models for Malifaux to see if that, you know, terrain would actually work for, you know,
I might
gabbing.
actually do that. I think long term, because people keep asking like how it's going to be. Like, I want this to be a product, and I want there to be a reason for people to buy it. I mean, I'd love to have an actual proper physical book. If I release part of this long term, that becomes like a free rule set. It would probably be a simplified version of the document, not the pretty one that hopefully eventually comes out as like the paid version. So like it ends up looking like kind of like this does. Like it's just essentially a wall of text. But the pretty one will be the one that you have to buy. Which is how most people get around that. Because like if you want to have a business, you need to have a way of making money, I guess. But at the same time, you can't hold everything behind a paywall because people will just not play it. So
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's, you know, the great example of that is the Malifaux 4th edition app. Like, I've learned and picked up, you know, quite a few things just from that. You know, like a lot of the stuff like isn't out yet.
yeah,
Obviously, I've not gotten my hands on anything, but you know, I've been able to start looking at piecing things together from going through and looking at that. So, um, the the next thing I kind of want to briefly just mention, because it is that time of year, and we've already talked about it, about the stuff. Is just, um, I'm gonna make the plans, and I'm gonna get my butt to Adepticon this calendar year.
you mean
You know,
next
because
calendar
it's
year?
happening. Well, let's look at it this way. Like, our new year starts April 1st, right? Because that's the new year for us, is April 1st,
Oh, right, okay.
since that's when we started. So you know, looking at, like, we're almost in that, you know, that next year. Next year, I'm gonna go to Adepticon. You know, for getting, you know, mainly for myself to like go and check it out, but you know, for the podcast channel too. Like, you know, my intent's not to go to, like, you know, to create content. You know, my uh go there is to, you know, enjoy myself and just get content, as a side effect. So,
Nice.
and yes, JP, if you the day you go, I'll have lunch with you. I'll hang out with you while we're there.
Sneak up behind him like Shay did. Or was it he that snuck up? So one of them snuck up behind somebody. I don't remember which way around it was. On that subject, and I kind of talked about this on Patreon recently. I think it was either yesterday or the day before. The Entropy City channel on the Discord at some point in the next month is going to become a public channel. That is a change that I will be making. It's Entropy City is not a getting tabled product. It never has been. That's why it's not mentioned in any of the promises on Patreon. I originally held it behind the wall because I wasn't ready to talk about it publicly yet. That changed a long time ago, obviously. I mean, I share it in several places now. I probably should share it in more places, but I'm also I'm very aware of the fact that if I talk about it everywhere and the product doesn't exist yet, then people will eventually get to the point of like, is this ever happening?
Right.
But I think it's time. As much as like I've always said, this isn't part of the Patreon. I am very aware that this means I'm taking something away from the Patreon. The intention, at least for now, is probably going to be that when I share the rules, I will share them on the Patreon first, and then not release them anywhere else for probably 24 hours, which is largely what I do in that Discord channel now anyway.
Yeah.
That's most likely the way that it'll go. Ultimately and eventually, Entropy City will be taken out of that entirely and become its own thing. Because I do need to fund it eventually. I'm just not at that point yet. So it's like, well, thank you. Because our patrons have given me a lot of feedback and other people have as well. So I want to kind of keep that option alive. But that will definitely be happening sometime soon. Whenever I am out playtesting it somewhere, I frequently have people asking like where they can find more information on it, because it's very limited in the information you can find because it's not out yet. And so that will help there a little bit. It does feature, like there's a link section on the website where it's like the On Tabletop project page, our podcast, because that podcast will link to the Discord and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I probably will have to give it a Discord of its own eventually, I guess. I don't know. But again, I don't think we're there yet. But pointing people to the podcast and it having a channel that is open, probably not a bad idea.
Is better for it, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that is where it sits. I posted this like a day or so ago, and it's like, let me know what you think, because there's always part of me that's like, oh no, am I going to upset people? Realistically, I don't think anybody's going to feel upset by this, because I've been very open about my intention for Entropy City for a very long time before I mentioned it publicly. Like, I've always made it very clear that it's not something that belongs to the podcast. It's not what it funds. Like, nothing funds it. It's all out of my pocket and time. So,
Yep.
yeah. So yeah, I mean that's. Otherwise, for the rest of this year, I want to finish my Malifaux crew. It's kind of sitting there in the same state it was a month ago. I want to build up some more stuff for 148 Tactic. Like, I've bought a box of miniatures. I had a thought for doing a video, because it's a box that's existed for like 3 years. There's not really a lot of point unboxing it beyond the point of, well, you get my opinion of it. I had this thought in my head of like, maybe I should try and film me trying to replicate the characters on the cards. But I don't know if that actually... I don't know how the metal minis are going to turn out, for starters. So I don't really know how much of an option that is or not. But that's where my mind was going. I've also got like boxes down here from Owen that I want to film as well, because Owen sent me miniatures for his game, which was lovely. And this isn't why he sent them to me. They sent them to me, and I haven't talked about this publicly, because it was kind of just a thing between them and me. They sent it to me because they wanted to find out if they would survive shipping. So they sent it to me.
Oh, clever.
Yeah. That was like, this is a test. We want to know how they turn out. So I took photos and I took a video. There was one mini that broke, that was like a spear or something, and it broke in a way that was very easy to fix. And to be fair, probably would have broken. There's certain breaks where you just kind of expect them to happen. On a 3D printed miniature, a spear is probably the thing that will always break, regardless of how careful you are. That's what Superglue was for. So it turned out in excellent quality. My intention has been for a while to film, I mean, as much as I've already unboxed it, looked at it, and put it away, was to film it, show it off, and kind of be like, so this is what they're doing. It will be available international soon, but then not release that video until they actually announce that they're going to start shipping internationally. But I had this conversation like 4 months ago, and I still haven't done it because burnout and stuff. So I need to do that as well. So it's not exactly the game talk that we usually do, but I kind of thought talking about what's coming up might be an interesting thing to do. Thank you very much to Valhalla Hobby. They have been sponsoring us for quite some time. They are based in Verona, Wisconsin. They're a good store with great prices. They don't just have your regular Warhammers and all of your big names, but they have a huge range from the indie scene as well. You can find all of their range at valhallahobby.com. That's valhallahobby.com. If you use the code TABLED, you'll get 5% off your first order over $100. There's no kickback we get from this. this just shows them where the support comes from and why you're choosing to buy from them. Please support the people that support us. We would really appreciate it, and I know that they would as well, because they are good people. Thank you again to those that sponsor us, like JP, who is listening at the moment. That's one of the perks you get from supporting us on Patreon, is that you can actually listen to us record live. JP can't say anything. Well, he can. We won't hear him. You can say anything you like, so we won't hear a word. For $2 a month, you get access to early access to all of the video content that almost all of the video content that we do. You get early access to the video version of this podcast, which I still think is the superior way to watch it. Because you get it 4 days early, and it's just, you can see exactly what we're talking about because we're showing it on screen. You can find all of the links to anything that we've discussed at gettingtabled.com. I am slowly going through and updating the website with older episode links and that as well. It's kind of a long, tedious, boring process, but I am still going back and uploading and redoing that. You can find us at facebook.com/gettingtabled. You can subscribe to us at youtube.com/gettingtabled. That's where all of our video content is shared. If you'd like to reach out to the team for whatever reason, if there's a game you want us to talk about or a piece of news that you think we'd enjoy, then reach out to the team. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a product that you'd like us to look at that's not clearly a scam and a podcast thing where they want hundreds of dollars for not doing any work, we'd love to hear from you. There is Discord. Anybody's welcome to join the Discord. Literally, it's available to everybody. There is a specific channel for our tablers. At this stage, Entropy City is behind that wall as well. That will change soon. Right. X, Twitter, Instagram, Blusky, Threads is all at Getting Tabled. There is a Reddit thread r/Getting Tabled. You can find me on ToyReel, which is youtube.com/ToyReel, where we talk about action figures and we do live shows on a semi-regular basis. We need to do one again sometime soon. Everybody's kind of been busy. And if you'd like to find out more about Entropy City, you can find it at entropycity.com or entropycitygame.com, but entropycity.com. You can find. It's a simple website, but it shows you everything you need to know for now. Anything from you, George?
I'm tired.
Hi, Tired. I'm Jason. Socks, you smell, you look funny, and you're a disappointment to everybody with sense because you didn't turn up. We're all very upset.
You're as annoying as that hole that appears on the bottom of the sock on the ball of your foot.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matyas at soundimage.org.